So she texts you still awake at 2:57, correct?
Yes.
And then your response to her is at 7:09, you're up now, LOL, correct?
Yes.
And that's because you were actually sleeping when she texted you at 2:57, correct?
Yes.
And then the next few series of text messages talk about that she was upset. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And that's because Derek was supposed to wake her up to watch a movie, correct?
Yes.
And that was supposed to happen at approximately 1 a.m., correct?
Yes.
And she was upset that he didn't wake her up, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, you text her, that's not cool, man, right?
Right.
And later on, around 7:20 in the morning, the text continues, and she tells you that she felt like she was begging for him to hang out with her. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And you respond back, you just want to spend time with him, that you understood that, correct?
Yes.
And then she tells you she knew he wasn't going to wake her up, right?
Right.
And you felt bad for her, so you texted her back, I'm really sorry, right?
Yes.
And then there are a series of text messages about whether he's at home or not because she doesn't know, correct?
Correct.
And it's still early in the morning, it's around 7:23, 7:30 when this is happening in text messages, correct?
Yes.
And she tells you she doesn't want to wake up anybody else, and because if she moves around, their bird will start to make noise. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And then she says she texted him that if he is late, in fact, he would respond. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And the next text after that is her saying, it's stupid shit like this that makes me think crazy shit, you know? Like it doesn't do anything now, but later on it will eat away at my brain. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
And that's because Jennifer took things like him not spending time with them to heart. Isn't that true?
That's all speculation.
Only if you know, Nancy, not guess or assume.
That's true.
And right after that, she says that she in fact trusts him, right?
Yes.
And that he was probably tired and turned off the alarm.
Yes.
And then the conversation shifts to something about bleach, correct? Because you were cleaning your shower. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
In fact, in between that, though, she does tell you, I just want to spend time with him, but I'm not going to bed. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And that if he doesn't care, she won't care.
That's right.
And your response to her basically was, I command. And then she shouldn't, and then, in your opinion, she shouldn't have had to say it. Isn't that right?
Right.
And then she said, in fact, that if the situations were reversed, he would be, and I believe the word in the text is pissy. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And then the conversation goes on to talk about how she needs to be calm when she talks to you. Isn't that right?
Right.
Because if she's pissed off when she tells him, she's really just not going to have any point. You see what I'm saying? Isn't that right?
That's right.
That's all speculation.
Only if you know, Nancy, not yes or assume. And then around 7:51, you offer her some advice. And you say, just tell him, look, I want to spend time with you, but I feel like I'm begging you for your time. Correct?
Yes.
You tell him that she responds, actually, I'm sorry, withdrawn. She responds and says she's basically going to say to him, how would you feel if you were in my shoes? Isn't that right? Ms. Barry, just please wait, we should